Hello, hello. Welcome to our Facebook Lives. I am your host, Jenny Drennan. I am beyond excited for our conversation today. We decided to do a pre-recorded session for this week because my newborn has a pediatric appointment but I did not want to miss our Facebook Live and wanted to make sure that we brought our content to you. I'm also really fascinated by what we're going to chat about today and something that's dear to my heart, something I'm really trying to push for a change in society. So really today we're going to talk about the new book of from Jonathan Haidt called The Anxious Generation. He goes in depth into how social media and technology has impacted our young generation and our Gen Zs in particular, and I'm really excited to dive into it. I read this book, highly recommend it for all parents or anyone who is working with children. It is a phenomenal read and something that we are seeing very prevalent in our society right now that must be addressed. If we don't address the issues that we're seeing right now, things are only going to cascade. And right now, we are at a point where it's necessary for all of us to intervene on this. So, really excited for our conversation today. Some of the statistics that I will share in the live today are going to be very astounding. And my goal here is to bring you the facts. I want to bring you what's the real world, what's really happening, so that we can make a change and push for this change. He's done a wonderful job in advocating for these changes in his book. And again, I, I, I encourage you to share this with schools, share this with the community, anyone working with children, and to recommend his book to anyone. You can download the Audible. You can read it. It's, do both. It's amazing on all fronts. So again, can't recommend it enough. Um, so the reason we're addressing this topic today is because we've seen an uptick in our youth, particularly in anxiety and depression. When we onboard as child, it is very rare when we don't have a diagnosis for anxiety and or depression for one of our children. So again, that is, I'm speaking for WTL, I'm speaking for when I was a teacher. There are several diagnoses for this in our generation. And I know when I was young and little, I'm pretty sure I'd never experienced it. My friends never did. My mom didn't know of any parents or, kids that did. So there has been a change and we need to figure out what is that change because things are now at least getting worse. His book is catalyzing a lot of the change and the movement we're seeing right now, but there's still so much work that needs to be done. So anxiety and depression has increased, particularly among our Generation Z. So there's been a 145% increase in depression among girls since 2010. So all these stats are since 2010. An 161 increase in boys. So we always think that girls are the ones that are being affected. Right now, we're seeing that boys are actually spiking in their diagnosis. An 134% increase in anxiety in college students, and 188% increase in emergency room visits amongst girls. Okay, so these stats are alarming. I want to raise awareness so that we can understand how the integration of technology has affected the lives of our children. And again, I'm focusing on the lives of our children, but there's also the parental side that we need to address and kind of reflect upon. His book in particularly addresses children. However, children observe us and they mirror our actions. And so I'm sure there will be a book, someone will write a book at some point on how it's addressing adults. We also want to empower your household with the facts, right? Decisions, give information to help you make an informed decision and for you to help reverse the trends and promote a healthier development for your children and your family in general. Not only will it promote for a healthier development for them, but it will also make everyone's relationship at home much more closer, much more united. So really excited again to dive into this. Again, the book is called, Jonathan Haidt's book is called The Anxious Generation, How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. Again, he's going to go in depth into exploring how anxiety and depression among Generation Z has really skyrocketed, and give us practical advice on what we can do as a society, as a nation, as a world, globally, to really improve and make change for our generations, and this generation and generations to come. So he goes in and he talks about the great rewiring of childhood. This began in early 2010s with the integration of smartphones and social media. Before smartphones, there was no social media, right? And so in 2010 is when smartphones really took off. Particularly, we saw, it began with the BlackBerry, the Sidekick, and then the iPhone came out. And the iPhone really drove this whole change. It rewired the developmental environment for these kids, which has caused mental health issues, particularly among girls. But most recently, there has been a spike, and we're seeing more trends in boys. If you purchase his book, he will have documents and PDFs that you can download to see all the graphs, all his latest research. And it's mind-boggling, truthfully. It's really sad, and he's bringing us the facts so that we can know what's going on and make this change. So we're going to go into the reasons why social media and technology, what it has done to our society. For one, we've seen a reduction in free play, and we know that free play is so important. Free play is like when you're in kindergarten, when your kids are in kindergarten and they just have time to themselves to do whatever it is that they want. This is when they explore, they build their curiosity, they learn, right? So we've seen a reduction in free play. Why? Because there are concerns over child safety. So we're not seeing kids just go out and play in the neighborhoods like we used to. I used to get on my bike, on GoPeds, and just go roam around the neighborhood. We're not seeing that anymore. Parents are really restricting outdoor play a lot more. So children are spending a lot more time indoors. Not just children, teens, preteens, everyone's spending much more time indoor. And yes, perhaps the pandemic has contributed to a lot of this indoor time because it's created more comfort zone at home for children, right? However, this is causing children to be much more on screens. And when I say children, I really do mean children in elementary, preteens, and our high school students. So we've also seen a rise in structured activities. So lots of sports. Children are much more involved in extracurricular activities, so they don't have that time for free play. And there's been a proliferation of digital technology in their environment, right? So there's technology everywhere right now. We have the Alexa, we have the smartphones, we have smart TVs, we have everything is so smart. iPads, like switches. It's just all over the place. So what this causes, like having less reduced free play, is kids feel less equipped to handle challenges independently, right? Which leads to much more anxiety and depression. So they're not, they're not getting the opportunity to develop the skills that they need to handle challenges on their own, to problem solve, to build their curiosity, to learn, etc. Free play teaches children how to make their own rules, which is crucial for healthy development, right? It teaches how to have relationships, how to be social with friends, how to, just come up with disagree with others. It also teaches children how to socially interact and resolve conflicts with one another. It teaches them how to cope with minor injuries. If someone gets hurt outside, it teaches them how they can cope with that and how to cope with disappointment as well. It gives them a sense of autonomy, and they are able to experience risk-taking in a safe environment, which all of this is going to build resilience and self-confidence. But again, with the reduction of free play, we're stripping our kids of the opportunity to do all this. Secondly, we're going to look at how parent and societal choices has influenced some of these changes that we're going to discuss. We are just gonna do a plug-in here, but We Thrive Learning, we are an educational therapy and ADHD student coaching practice. So we support students with diverse learning needs, students who are neurotypical, and we specialize in students who have ADHD. We provide one-on-one support, so we blend educational therapy practices with motivational interviewing and coaching techniques. If you are interested in learning more about our one-on-one support, please reach out to us and schedule a call with me. I'd be delighted to chat with you and learn more about your children to see if this would be a great fit for them. You can schedule a call at wethrivelearning.com. We support children anywhere from fourth grade all the way to college, and would be delighted to support you and your family, so that to build their independence and their resilience and confidence. So again, that's wethrivelearning.com. Schedule a call with us there. So how has our choices influenced some of this change? So sadly, right, and understandably, we are overprotecting our kids from the physical world, because we're really worried about traffic, lots of our crime, the injuries they'll experience, which restricts their independence. It's restricting their independence and asking them or giving them the opportunity to immerse themselves in the digital world. It's also, this is causing kids are, you know, the world is changing too, because we're seeing much more neighborhoods be built and less parks being built, right? Which is giving them less of an opportunity to hang out on their own by themselves, to have some of this free play. And my dogs, to have some of this free play, and then I forgot what I was saying because my dog was barking, so I'm really sorry. Because kids are immersing themselves in the digital world, right? They are being tasked to navigate a vast, unregulated, harmful world of social media with little supervision. So that's the paradox, right? That we think that by keeping them indoors and overprotecting them, we are supervising them. However, they are going into this digital world with very little supervision. And it is a world. They have access to everything online. And we don't know what they're really accessing, despite all the parental controls, which I'm not a fan of. They can have access to everything, and we have no control over that, right? So that is the paradox where we think we're overprotecting, where in reality we're really not. This stunts their development in the real world. Again, no free play, less curiosity, less social interactions, less relationship building, etc. It shields them from the digital world. And what they do in the real world, right, they're building essential life skills. So because they're not building these essential life skills, they're becoming much more vulnerable emotionally and socially. And so because of all of this, now they are engaging much more in social media. Let's be real, everyone and all the kids I know at least have a social media account, or, whether they go behind parents' backs and they create some, they see it from other friends, they will do everything in their power to try to get a social media account because everyone has one at their age. But social media is the key driver of mental health challenges, particularly amongst girls. So boys are also being affected, and we're seeing a spike most recently, but girls are really being affected. Boys will spend much more of their time on videos such as YouTube, but girls are spending a lot more of their time on TikTok, etc., because they are comparing themselves, right? It's just developmentally how boys and girls are a bit different. And next month, we will have a whole Facebook Live where we will go in depth into how boys and girls function in the digital world differently. So really excited for that talk as well. But because it's the consequences of all this is it's increasing their mental health challenges, it's decreasing their productivity. Again, a lot of students are not prioritizing their schoolwork or their learning because they are enjoying the social media a lot more, and creating a lot of emotional and psychological challenges. Instagram and TikTok are amplifying social comparisons, amplifying cyberbullying, and are creating something called fear of missing out, right? So these kids are all three, it's like the perfect storm. So Instagram and TikTok are also, particularly for girls, creating flawed image of realities. And this leads to girls feeling a sense of inadequacy and low self-esteem, right? So we're seeing a lot more girls there that, are trying to perfect. There are lots of apps out there to make girls look perfect. And so there's lots of comparison going on for our teen girls, and that is not helping their self-esteem. These social medias, it's engineered to be addictive. We know this because there's been lots of research on this, and also lots of creators of social media who have left their social media companies and have said, yes, the algorithm is meant to captivate attention, and and the feed is supposed to give them feed of content that they've seen so that they can continue to see more of the feed, right? So it's leveraging their brain's dopamine system. Because they like something, they continue to see more of this. This is particularly vulnerable for our kiddos with ADHD. Um, so the likes, the shares, the notifications are designed to provide rewards into the brain and keep the children hooked. Okay, that is designed. It's a continuous validation of likes and comments, and this is it becomes very compulsive. So the challenge is that it's negatively affecting the our kids' emotional states when their expectations aren't met, right? Why didn't they like me? Why didn't I get as many? Why is she getting 200 likes and I'm only getting 50 likes? How the comments, right? That what people are leaving. Anyone can go on there and leave any comment that they want, whether we know them or not. Um, so, because, in addition to everything we just discussed, again, because they're on social media, they're not practicing these face to face interactions. I've seen it. People can be at a table together at a restaurant and everyone be on their phone. And these face to face interactions, they're missing the opportunity to build these social connections, which leads to loneliness, emotional resilience, and meaningful connections. So, even though they are very networked or connected in the social world, they are feeling very isolated and lonely. So, despite the connection, they are actually feeling very lonely. And so, some recommendations that he had, and I'm not going to go into details on these because it's in his book. Please go read it. But it allows kids to, we are really, really encouraging people. And, I am here at WTL with our team, but really encouraging kids to explore their environment much more freely. Spend time with friends, go bowling, go to the mall, go to the beach, right? Just hang out, just go skateboarding, do the things that we used to do when we were little. We want in neighborhoods to begin to create safe spaces for children to play, whether that be parks, roller rinks, skate, this Venice skate park, things like that, where kids can hang out and just meet other people, do things that are active. So we need more spaces for play to happen and for kids to congregate together. We also think schools should incorporate more recess and free play into daily schedules. So we're seeing a reduction in actually lunchtime and recess time, when we should actually be seeing an increase in those times, so that kids have the opportunity to engage with each other, to play with one another, and build all these skills that we discussed today. Social media should also and we've seen it more recently, but there should be a push for the parental login protections to be that every child who has a media account needs to be at least 15 years old. So once you are 15 years old, your brain is probably much more developed and much more likely to be able to navigate the social media world. But at the age our kids are getting these accounts, age 8, 10, etc., they are way too young. And this is where we see this addiction take place and the danger that comes with it. And parents should take a much more active role in managing children's online time, truthfully. We need to model this ourselves, because we are not innocent, right, of not being on social media and also on our phones. So if we are encouraging our kids to spend less time on our phones, we need to model that as well.